Let's worship together.
There's a place where mercy reigns and never dies. There's a place where streams of grace flow deep and wide. All the love I ever found comes like a flood, comes flowing down. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you, Jesus. There's a place sin and shame powerless, where my heart has peace with God and forgiveness. All the love I've ever found comes like a flood, comes flowing down. Sing at the cross. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you. Here, my hope is found. Here, on holy ground. Here I bow down. Here I bow. Here, arms open wide. Here, you save my life. Here I bow down. Here I bow. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you. At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed. I owe to you. I owe to you. Let's sing it one more time.
At the cross, I surrender my life. I'm in all of you. I'm in all of you. Where your love ran red and my sin washed white. I owe to you. I owe to you.
I owe to you. I owe to you, Jesus. Jesus. Amen. Before you take your seat, look around you. If you don't recognize someone, make sure you shake their hand and introduce yourself.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Epic. I'm Kate.
I'm Cal. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're here. If it's your first time here, just want to welcome you. Thank you for being here with us this morning. We're so excited that you're here. If it's not your first time, if it's your 10th time, your 1,000th time, we're glad you came back. We're so glad that you're here this morning with us, and we hope that you feel very welcome today. I have a couple announcements for you guys this morning, just to set things up here. So today is Grow. Our Grow classes kick off today. This is Belong. So if you signed up for your classes here in November, the classes are taking place in the Canton 2 room. If you don't know where that is, I'll be at the Next Steps table afterwards. Come see me and I'll give you directions, or you can just follow their signage out there. You can follow the signs. But that's an exciting part in finding out just kind of how you belong here at Epic and how you can make Epic your home, and also a great way to find out who you are and how God made you, how you're wired, your spiritual gifts, stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that. All of November is filled, though, right now. So we got full classes this week and in 2 weeks, but December classes are available, and we have, they are filling up. So I encourage you to go out there and sign up today at the Next Steps table. Come over, see me. I'll get you signed up.
All right, so we have small groups here at Epic. We're a church made up of small groups. And if that's something that you're looking to lead one day, if you say, hey, you know what, this might be something I'm called to, lead in a small group. Well, we have the perfect thing for you. We're going to have a small group workshop that's going to take place on Saturday, January 7th from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is going to be a place where you can come at the church office, you meet with our leaders, we're going to have some inspiring speakers, and you can create a vision for your small group. So if you're interested in this, if you can RSVP an email to groups@epicbaltimore.com by December 10th.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Also, so who's excited that it's November? Oh, come on. I know more people out there love Thanksgiving. Come on. Who's excited for November? That's right. Who doesn't love Thanksgiving, right? A day, celebrate eating, right? I think that's what it's about. But for serious, there's a lot of people in our own community that can't afford to have their own Thanksgiving feast, that can't afford to have their own Thanksgiving meal. That's why we're partnering with an organization in order to be able to help some of those people in our very own community. So all it takes is $10. A $10 donation will feed a family of 4. It'll fill a basket to do that. So if you're feeling like the Lord's putting that on your heart, if you want to bless a family in a real way this holiday season, we have some envelopes over here by the Joy Boxes that are marked specifically for that. You can put a check in there. You can put a cash in there, whatever you want to. But it's a great opportunity to put the giving in Thanksgiving, I guess you could say, and bless some families this holiday season.
So I'm going to tag on that, and we have another opportunity to give and help just share love to others. It's our annual Be Warm Baltimore. How many people have participated in Be Warm Baltimore before? Yeah, we have a lot of people that have come, that have given of their time to share love with others. So this year, Be Warm Baltimore, we have actually partnered up with other organizations in our community, one of which is Be More Caring. And we're going to have 2 events. So we're collecting coats. We're going to be collecting them here at the church. And we're going to have 2 events, one on November 16th, it's a Wednesday night, and another one on December 3rd, which is a Saturday. They're in 2 different locations as well. So if you have an interest on your heart that you want to help the people that don't have the clothes this winter, that don't have enough to keep warm, then you can there's a couple things you can do. So 1, you can donate coats. 2, you can collect coats. Maybe it's from your office or family members. Or 3, you can come and help serve and just share the love of Christ. So if you have any questions about that, you want to sign up, there's actually going to be a table after service outside that's going to be to your left. You can meet Dorothy there. Dorothy's going to tell you all about it and give you an opportunity to sign up.
Awesome. All right, last announcement before we bring Pastor Chris out here. Epic here, we don't believe in passing a plate. We want people to be joyful givers. We want not to be like guilty givers, which is why we don't pass a plate. We do have a couple options, though, if you feel like the Lord is leading you to do that. We have the joy boxes, like I already mentioned, over there. You can text to give, which you can follow the directions. Text 84321. You just text the dollar amount. You get a text back confirming it. Very easy. Or you can go online to epicbaltimore.com and sign up to give every week. But I'm excited for Pastor Chris's sermon series coming up. Anybody else excited? Oh, come on, guys. Let's hear it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, turn your attentions to the screen, please. Pastor Chris will be right out.
Hey, morning again. How you guys doing? Good. It's good to see you guys out here again. We are kicking off a brand new series today, and I'm super pumped to get into that in just a moment. But before we do, just want to tell you, man, around here we believe that God is for you. He's not against you. He doesn't want something from you. God is for you. Everything he says, does, is for us. And I can't wait for you to experience that today. And I hope by the end of the service you realize that. You open your heart to the idea that regardless of what it is, the end game is God really wants something. He wants it for you. He wants you to know him and how awesome and amazing he is. And I'm hoping this series allows us to understand that and get into it. Hey, if you got a Bible, grab it and turn with me to 1 Kings. We're going to be in the Old Testament today. 1 Kings chapter 17 is where we're going to be. 1 Kings chapter 17. We are kicking off a brand new series today called More. And it's a series on generosity, a series on giving, a series about putting our stuff into priority. And we're going to kick off today looking at 1 Kings 17. We're going to actually read from the first verse, about 16 is where we're going to stop. If you didn't bring a Bible with you, we got it on the screens. So here we go. Now Elijah, he's the prophet in Israel at the time, the Tishbite from Tishba in Gilead, said to Ahab, now Ahab is the king, but he's not really a good king. He's a wicked king. His wife runs the show. And it's not really a good show that they are running. So things are kind of upside down. Now, in the Old Testament, they switched from the era of judges to where there was like a spiritual ruler, and Israel wanted a king to lead them. And so kings started to run the show, but they didn't do it too well. So God had to raise up these guys called prophets. That Elijah is one of them, to keep these dudes in order. So Elijah shows up into the king's court and tells him a message, and it's not really a pleasant one. He says, as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, not you, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word. So essentially he says, it's not going to rain. It's going to be ugly around here for a while until I say so. Then he takes off. The word of the Lord came to Elijah, leave here, turn eastward, and hide in the Kerith River, because Ahab and Jezebel, they're going to be hunting for him. It's east of the Jordan. Verse 4, you will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with good food. It's a godly animal. It's blessed. The ravens are blessed. They are used of the Lord to provide goodness. End of sermon. Let's pray. Take that, Steelers fans. Can't find that in the Bible. That's it, right? I feel good right now. I feel like we're done. So Elijah did what the Lord told him. He went to the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan, stayed there. And the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning and bread and meat in the evening and drank from the brook. Man, it just gets better and better. Like they're listening. Verse 7. Sometime later, the brook dried up because there had been no rain in the land. The word of the Lord came to him, go once to Zarephath in the region of Sidon and stay there. I've directed a widow to supply you with food. So he went to Zarephath, and he came to the town gate, and a widow was there gathering sticks. And he called to her and said, hey, would you bring me a little water in a jar so I can have a drink? As she was going to get it, he called and said, oh, yeah, and bring me a piece of bread. She didn't like that too much. Verse 12, as surely as the Lord God lives, she replies, I ain't got any bread. Only a handful of flour in a jar, a little olive oil in a jug, and I'm gathering a few sticks to take it home, make a meal for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. Verse 13, Elijah told her, hey, don't be afraid. Go home, do as you said, but first make a small loaf of bread for me from what you have and bring it to me, and then make something for yourself and your son. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, the jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain to the land. Verse 15, she went away and did Elijah had told her. So there was food every day for Elijah, for the woman, and for her family. Verse 16, for the jar of flour was not used up, and the jug of oil did not run dry, in keeping with the word of the Lord spoken by Elijah. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for your word. Thank you for the goodness of your word. We thank you, Lord, for speaking to us today. We pray that you would open our hearts and minds to hear what you would have to say to us. And we do thank you for the glorious raven that you've blessed us with. And we pray for them today, all the ravens everywhere, even the ones on the field. And we're expecting a glorious win and to send Big Ben home with his tail between his legs. In Jesus' name. And everybody said, Amen. Amen. So the other day, London came to me, and she says, Dad, I got to show you something. This came in the mail. It was the Target Christmas catalog. And I said, London, oh, man, I love this. I said, you know what we used to do? We used to take these catalogs. Everybody remember the wish books from back in the day? And we used to circle all the things that we wanted, and maybe Santa would bring them. I said, hey, why don't you do that? And she's like, I already did that. That's what I'm showing you, the things that I circled. I was like, oh, okay. I thought I was teaching you something. Apparently you already know this. And so we opened the book up, and with every turn of the page, you could feel the excitement building in her, like, oh, wait till the next page, turn it, yes, I want that. That's going to be right there. And there's 5 or 6 things circled on every page. I turn to the next page. It's all boy stuff. She's like, nah, not so much. Turn to oh, yes, I want this and this and this. We actually went through 2 whole catalogs that day that came in the mail. And so we get to the end of it, and there was a hoverboard. And she's like, and Dad, I want one of these hoverboards. They've got them in pink, so it's gonna be awesome. And I was like, oh, that's fantastic. I was like, well, London, do you see the number next to hoverboard? It's a 3-digit number with some zeros next to it. And she's like, yeah, 489.00. It's $489 for a hoverboard. I don't think Santa can afford that this year. It's a little recession. And side note, this doesn't apply to the message at all. Side note, she says, oh, you know what? Dad, you know all the money I've been raising for my mission trip next year? I said, yeah. She goes, you know what? I'm not going on a mission trip. I'm going to buy a hoverboard. I was like, no, you can't do like you can't do that, See, back in my day, there was He-Man and G.I. Joes, and they were like $6.99. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't like a whole $489 for a hoverboard, and it doesn't hover. Anybody know what I'm talking about? No, they don't hover. Like Michael J. Fox had a hoverboard. Like it didn't touch the ground. Like it's wheels. It's just a skateboard on the side. Like I don't get it. Like anyway, $489. Halloween was this week, which means we are now into November, which for Americans means it's Christmas time. Thanksgiving is right out. Sorry, Pilgrims. Sorry, Indians. Now Santa has taken over. It is the Christmas season. Time to start buying some stuff. I went into Target myself, and they were taking down Halloween and putting up Christmas. Like, there's literal, it's not an analogy or an exaggeration. Halloween goes, Christmas comes. It's amazing. And so toys and presents and parties and people and ugly sweater parties are coming around, and we know all this stuff is happening. Christmas has turned into a season of more, right? Catalogs to buy more stuff and more people on your list. And I've already had people come to me and ask me what I want for Christmas. Like Lori's already asked me, like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, man, I was sweating. It was hot. It was like 70 degrees the other day. Like, Christmas is not on my radar whatsoever, but we live in a culture of more. And so Christmas has turned into a season of more. Everything around us is preaching one message: more. You need more stuff. You need more food. You need more clothes. You need more of this. You need more of that. We want more of your money. We want more of your time. We want more of your stuff. Stores, organizations, companies, they make the lion's share of their yearly budget in these last 2 months of the year. But more is not always better. More of the same is not always better. Now, I'm not against buying things. I'm not against more stuff, gifts and things. And I don't think God is against more stuff and more things. I don't think God is opposed to that. But what if I could prove to you that less is actually more? What if during the season for the next few weeks we looked at the different areas of our life and I could prove to you that less is actually more? Today we're going to be talking about giving in the sense of money, giving money. What if I could prove to you that less money is actually more? But over the series we're going to talk about our time. What if I could prove to you that less time in your schedule is actually more, is actually more beneficial for you, or less stuff in your house, or less energy that you would expend? What if I could prove to you that less is actually more? Now, I mentioned that we're going to be talking about giving money today, and that just essentially grouped this entire room into 3 different segments of people. The first group, maybe you're not a follower of Christ, you're not a typical church person, and you come to visit today. Right now, you're nudging your neighbor and you're saying, see, I told you. All these jokers want is your money. I told you it was going to happen. I knew it. That's one group. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. There's another group of people. We talk about giving money that right away you clam up a little bit and you're thinking, man, this guy's going to ask me for money at the end and I ain't got no money. Like I don't have it. Things are tight. Like I'm up to my eyeballs in debt. I got school payments. I got this. I got that. Like I'm going to feel guilty. This guy starts asking me. We'll get to that in just a second. And then the third group is just the rest of us. We hear it and we're like, maybe I'm good, maybe you're not. We all kind of fit into different categories of that last group. Well, what if I could prove to you that less money from us is actually more? It's actually more beneficial for us. There's one thing that I know. Giving is not easy for most people. Giving money is not easy for most people. Most of us, the majority of us, we have things and we like that stuff. We want it. We don't want to give it away. Now, giving a present to a person or giving to someone when we feel it's right, we feel the need, that feels good to us. But those are the exceptions. It's not the rule of our time. There are super generous people that love to give constantly. They're always giving away their stuff. I had somebody come to me and talk to me about Bill Gates and how much money him and his wife spend throughout the year and throughout the world and for different causes and injustices. And I was like, man, I'm appreciative of Bill Gates giving all that money away. But here's the thing. He's a billionaire. He won't live long enough to spend his money. You know what I mean? Like, he's fine. Keep giving. I hope he still does that. But he will always have more than enough. That's the minority, right? The majority of us, we're not that generous. Giving is not that easy for us. And for every one generous billionaire, there are a billion stingy thousandaires. You know what that worked out? For every one generous billionaire, there are a billion stingy thousandaires. That's us. Like we're in that stratosphere. And so Giving's tough for a lot of us because it's tough to make ends meet. There's a lot at stake when it comes to someone asking something of us. And so why would anyone not want to give? Why would we not feel good about giving? And this is the only answer that I could really come up with. I think it sums up this concept for most of us. That if I give to you or to anyone, that means that I have less. If I give, then I have less. And so that's why I don't want to give, right? I mean, isn't that pretty easy? The guy on the corner, he's got a sign. He obviously is in need, and he's asking me for something. And I say, well, if I give to him, then it means I have less for me. And I don't want less for me. I want more for me. And so I try not to make eye contact, or I pretend like I'm busy in my car, or I just say this. That's a universal sign for, not right now. Or maybe it's when we're walking into the store and we got the guy with the bell and, he's asking us for money and we say, no. Or maybe you find someone who's bold enough and ask you for cash and you have cash in there and you say, no, I don't have any today. Because if I give that person my money, then I have less. Or maybe it's not just an in-person transaction. Maybe you're watching TV and you see one of those sad pet commercials come up with Sarah McLachlan playing in the background, right? And you're like, I feel sad and I feel like I want to give, but I'm going to change the channel just to get rid of that feeling because you're making me feel bad right now. I want to get out of that. I don't want to give to that because that means I would have less. That doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me human, right? Everybody okay with just admitting that we're human? If I give to you, then it means I have less, and I don't want less. I want more. Anybody else in that boat with me? I think that's natural. It's okay. It doesn't make us bad people. It doesn't make us greedy. It just makes us human. I'm going to use these apples for an example this morning here in this bowl. Let's pretend this is all my stuff. Like maybe this is all my money. We're talking specifically about money today, so we'll use that analogy. This is all my income. And man, that's good. That was a bad idea. I can't preach while I'm eating an apple. But anyway, this is my income. And there's all this stuff that all these people, it's a terrible idea. It's good though. There's all these people that want my money. So I got bills, I got school, I got, the sad Sarah McLachlan commercials, I got my wardrobe, and my wife's wardrobe. It's all in here, I'm just kidding. Love you, babe. Oh, yeah. And then we come to be a part of a church. And as a church, we believe in this biblical principle of tithing that God asks for the first tenth of our income. And so let's just pretend I got 10 apples in here. And so God wants one whole apple. I'm thinking, no, I want that apple. I have plans for that apple. I could buy shoes with that apple, or I could pay down debt with that apple, or I could eat Chipotle with that apple. There's a lot that I could do with this apple. And so I say, God, no, I can't give you my apple because then it means I have less apples. And I don't want less apples. I want more apples, right? And that's a natural feeling for us. And it's not just about the apple. It's actually the freedom to do what I want with this apple. If I give this apple to God or to anybody else, I lose the freedom to do what I want with that apple. I could spend it on myself. I could give it to someone else. I could let it sit in my account and accrue some interest. I could let this apple rot for all I care. But you know what? It's my decision. It's my apple. And God says, no, that's not your apple. It's actually mine. And I'm letting you keep the rest of them. But I want that first one first. And we say, I don't want to give you my apple. Because that means that I have less apples. So there's a woman in our scripture we're reading today. She comes, this prophet comes to the widow and says, "Hey, I want you to give me some bread." And she's like, "Well, I don't have a lot of bread. I actually don't have any, except for this little bit." And that's how it goes. God says, "Hey, I want that apple," and you're like, "No, I don't have any apples anymore. These are actually somebody else's apples. I don't know what you're talking about." They're good. So let's check it out. Let's go back to the story. Verse 7. So sometime later, the brook dries up, Elijah has to take off. God says, hey, I want you to go to this town. Sorry. I've directed a widow there. She's going to give you some food. She's going to take care of you. So they get to the town, calls to her, and he asks, hey, will you bring me some food and some water? So apparently she didn't get God's memo. Did you check that out? God says, hey, I've directed a woman there. She's going to take care of you. So Elijah says, oh, that's the one. Hey, can you give me some water and some bread? And she's like, no. She totally missed the memo. She's like, I ain't giving you anything. I barely have enough for myself. I don't know what you're talking about. And God has a way of continuing to ask us for stuff until he finds out whether we trust him or we don't. Did you see how he asked for water first? Hey, will you give me some water? And she's like, yeah, I'll go get it. It hasn't rained. Where's she getting water from? But apparently it didn't bother her. Then he asked for something else. Hey, will you give me some bread? Oh, that bothered her. You know? God has a way of asking for things until we find out what our trust really is. Now, there's some elements we need to understand in the story. They're in the midst of a famine. It has not rained. Actually, at Elijah's command, or actually God's command, Elijah spoke through him. It hasn't rained at all. And so in our context, if we were to read this spiritually and put it into our context, famine is things that are out of our control. Things that we cannot control. We're in a democracy and we go in and we vote on Tuesday. I'm really skeptical about that actually meaning anything. I think someone else decides that. It's just kind of like it's a cool show. It makes us feel like we're important. You know, like we go and pull it. Yes, my guy's going to get it. My guy never gets it. I don't know if does anybody realize that? My guy never gets it. Anyway, the government, the elections, these are things that we can't control. What happens in D.C.? I mean, we're part of a democracy, and we have a voice, and we have a part of that, and yes, that's amazing, but what happens down there is way out of my control. And so sometimes we live in a famine politically, where we're in a place where we don't feel like it's a rich time in our country, or maybe economically, what happens on Wall Street affects all of us, and these people on Wall Street, they burst this bubble in the housing market, and it trickles down to us. And we had no part of it. We had nothing to do with what happened ahead, and now we are reaping the negative benefits of that. Maybe natural disasters. We have nothing to do with those things. Remember when Hurricane Sandy came up the coast a few years ago? We spent a couple days up in New Jersey working with those people. They had nothing to do with that hurricane. All they could do was sit there and hold on and pray that God was going to be in control and take care of them throughout. There are things in our world, like famines, where we are not in control of. Economic disasters, natural disasters, governmental issues, war from other countries. These are things that are out of our control, things beyond our control that affect our lives and our ability to provide safety and security for us and our family. Now, this fact that there are things out of our control inflames our fears. It inflames our fears to want more because we don't know if less will be enough. I need all these apples because I don't know if something's going to come down the road and it's going to take my apples, or I'll need my apples later. This idea that there are things out of our control that may happen inflames our fears to have less. And so we keep our more because we don't know how it's going to turn out in the future. Now, there hadn't been rain in this story for some time. Rivers and streams are drying up. Crops are failing. There's no end in sight. Where will this woman place her trust? Will it be in the little bit that she has, or will it be in the God who provides everything for her? So let's keep reading on, verse 12. As surely as the Lord lives, she replies, I don't have any bread, only a handful of flour in a jar, a little of olive oil in a jug. I'm gathering a few sticks. I'm going to take it home. We're going to eat it, and then my son and I, we're going to die. This is where the story kind of hits home. Elijah asks for some bread, and she hits the dude with a technicality. She hits him with a technicality. I don't have bread, but I do have some flour and some oil and a fire, but no bread. Sorry, not here. I don't have any here today. Sorry about that. This is the attitude most of us have when someone asks us for something that we don't want to give. When we have this, hey, if I give it to you, that means I have less. Somebody says, hey, do you have some money? No, I just have some coins and things like that, some metal jingling around in my pocket. I have this paper. I'm not sure if it's receipts or money, so I'm just going to say no. A technicality. Sorry, I can't give it to you today. Or when God asks us for something, he says, hey, I want that first tenth. We say, that's already gone. That's someone else's. I gave that to somebody. I don't have any more apples, God. I can't help you. Oh, these apples. You're talking about these right here. One of my favorite movies is Princess Bride. Anybody ever seen Princess Bride before? So they're going to the castle. They're going to storm the castle and get Prince Humperdinck and Andre the Giant, who's playing Fezzik. He's kind of portraying himself as the Dread Pirate Roberts. The Dread Pirate Roberts, I'm here for your soul. It's the best part in the movie. Anyway, they get there. All the people scatter, and so they go to the guy, the last one there, and he says, give us the gate key. He says, I have no gate key. He says, Fezzik, rip his arms off. Oh, this gate key. He pulls it out. Sure. That's how I feel when God asks me for something. God, I don't have anything. He said, how about right there? I'm going to rip your arms off. Oh, this thing right here. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, this apple. There you go. You can have it now. We talked about tithing. This is a command throughout Scripture. God asked his people to give the first tenth of their income, and God commands to give this first tenth of their income to him. The New Testament doesn't give a number, doesn't live by that tenth number, but honestly, there's many cases in the New Testament where they actually gave everything they had, and they just took out what they needed. So 10% is fine with me. I'm not giving you all I have. 10% is the better of the two there. Many times, when I talk to people in church about this idea of their personal giving, it comes down to this widow's answer, like, I don't have that. I don't have a tenth. I don't have any money. And God says, well, what about that money? Oh, that money. Yeah, but that's somebody else's money. I can't give you that tenth. Psychologists call this minimization, where we kind of trivialize the little thing that we have. Many times it's in reference to abuse or something that happens psychologically to a person, but it's where we minimize something in our life as if it's nothing, so that we can protect it and keep it. And so when we come along this idea of giving, especially a tenth is a large percentage of our income, we say to God, well, I don't have a 10%. I mean, I don't have a first 10%. It went somewhere else. I can't give you anything today, God. I got a couple bucks in my pocket, or maybe a little of this or a little of that. But 10%, I don't have 10% of my income. And God says, well, I want that first 10% all the way at the very beginning. And we say, that 10%. Oh, that's what you're talking. If God, if I give you 10%, then it means I have 10% less, and I don't want 10% less. I want more. I want 10% more. Can you give me more? I don't want 10% less. And so that group of people that we talked about at the beginning, when we talk about money, there's a certain group of us that say, well, I don't have it to give. It's tied up in loans, or it's tied up in bills, it's tied up in this, and it's tied up in that. And I get that. I understand that. And I'm not here to guilt you into feeling one way or the other about that. But here's a challenge I'll give you. At the next change, maybe the next thing that gets paid off, or maybe at the next pay bump, or maybe at the next thing that happens where you have a surplus, could I challenge you to make God the first priority rather than self or others? Because I find that when I get a little extra, I've already spent it before it actually gets to my hand. And I usually spend it on myself. When I get a pay raise, or maybe when I pay a bill off, maybe something finally ends, what do I do with that money? Woo, I need some shoes, because these are kind of busted. And God, you understand that these shoes, I need, wardrobe over here. Or maybe something comes through and I say, God, this is, you know how much I need this, or even you know how much they need this. We're going to look at that in a couple weeks, about less of ourselves and giving it to others as more. But here's a challenge I'll give you. If you say, Pastor Chris, I'm strapped and I don't have anything to give, I'm not guilting you into it. I'm not asking you to not pay BGE and give it to the church. I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that. You got to be wise with your money. So I'm not asking that. But at the next change, could you accept the challenge to make God the first priority instead of self, instead of others? Let's move on. So Elijah talks to her. Elijah says, hey, don't be afraid. And Elijah cuts to the heart of the issue right here. Fear. Fear is why I don't want to give away my money. That's why I don't want to have less, because I don't know what's coming. And so I would like to keep as much as I possibly can, because I don't know what the future actually holds. I don't know what's around the corner. I don't know what the market is going to bear and how it's going to respond. I don't know if my company is going to lay me off. I don't know how it's going to move forward. I don't know if the business will keep coming in. I don't know if they're going to keep me around. I don't know if I'll get out of this debt. I'm scared of what the future holds, so I'm not going to give any away. My fear of the future makes me uncomfortable with less. My fear of the future makes me uncomfortable with less. And God says, well, less can be more if you put it in the right order. And so he reads on, don't be afraid. Go home and do as you said. But first, make me a small loaf of bread from what you have. Bring it to me, and then make something for yourself. Now, it's super important that we hear what Elijah is saying. He said, I want you to make me something first. And then I want you to make something else for yourself and your son. Now, you can see that she was fronting because she had enough for 3 people when she answered the first time. Like, I don't have any bread. I don't know what you're talking about. You can imagine them all eating, thinking like, why are you lying? You know, like, yeah, enough for all 3 of us. And you try to tell me you ain't got anything. It's super important to hear Elijah's words when it comes to this, to her and to God's charge to us today. He asked for this thing first. Biblical tithing is as much a principle of first as it is tenths. And you may say, well, Pastor Chris, I don't have tenths, and we talked about that category of us that just don't have it to give. Give whatever you have to give, but give it first, the very first of it all. Biblical tithing, as much as it is first, is tenths. Elijah asked for it first because it makes a statement about the widow's heart. Now let's use these apples for an example. So let's say she's going home and she's making the bread with the flour and the oil and the fire. And this is a really key moment. She's got to make 3 plates for the 3 of them. Now this is tough. Anybody ever gone to like the bottom of the milk jug and you're trying to make 2 bowls of cereal, you know? Like who's getting less, right? Because it ain't me, you know. Sorry, Lord, you know. I hope you're cool with dry cereal or just barely wet cereal, you know. She's got to make 3 plates with just enough. Like, does she give Elijah extra and then keep her and her son with like not enough? Does she give herself a whole bunch and say, you know, sorry, Elijah, you know, you're late to the party? Does she give a bunch to her son and hope that Elijah is cool with that, you know? Like, she's got a real conundrum. She's got a real dilemma on her hands when she comes back with 3 plates of stuff. Like, is she going to short the man of God, or is she going to hook him up, you know, or is she just divvy it out all evenly? I mean, like, this is a really, when I read stuff like that, I'm like, man, I'd be stressed out in the kitchen. Like, just a total anxious, like, God, what am I going to do? You know, if I come out with 3 even plates, is he going to give me a funny look? Does he like the last slice of meatloaf? You know, like how does he roll? Like, I don't know where to go with all of this stuff. How do I balance all this out? So she comes out, she gives him 3 plates, but she has this problem. She has to give him the first. Is it even? Or does she give him the lion's share? This is a decision she's got to make about this. She gives the man of God the first of the batch, and it's extremely important to understand. She gives him the first. Now, Elijah represents God's work on the earth in this story. He's God's prophet. He's the purveyor of truth. He's the one keeping Israel from falling off the deep end of wickedness. And so this widow was not just giving to anyone. She was giving to Elijah, who represented God to her. There's another misnomer about God's heart and our stuff. Elijah asks for the first, but he tells her to enjoy the rest. And this is one thing I can't stand about Christians and our thought about living a godly life. Many of us, we believe that to live a godly life is to live a lame life. Like where it has to just be the lamest possible because that's the most godly that it can be. Heck no. Life is meant to be enjoyed. We just celebrated Lori and Rob's birthday party with a little karaoke. And Lori and I, we're married. We can sing Love Shack, and it means, it's cool. It's like permissible. I got me a car. It's as big as a whale, and it's about to set sail. That's the only line I know of that song. The rest is just mumbled. So come on and bring your jukebox money. Can we cut that from the tape? I should have never sang that from the stage. Sorry. God gave us this stuff, this life for enjoyment. He gave us taste buds on our tongue so that we can enjoy good food. How awesome is that? He didn't have to put buds on our tongue. Just we would eat because we know we have to survive. But you ever tasted something that's just amazing and you're like, woo, thank you, Jesus, for taste buds. He gave us this, we could feel when a nice cool beverage goes down our throat into our stomach, like Coca-Cola Classic or Dr. Pepper on a hot summer day, You can feel that. You ever said, whew, thank you, Jesus? Or maybe down in these fall days when it's just a little bit warm, but it's got a chill in the air, and you roll the windows down, and it's like, man, I got a hoodie on so I can stay warm, but that cool air just feels so good. Anybody know that feeling I'm talking about? Or maybe you wake up and you see the sun rise over the horizon. He didn't have to let our eyes adjust to color and see it, but he did because he wants us to enjoy creation. Maybe you get in the ocean and you feel that salt water on your skin. Woo, I love that feeling. Maybe paddling out on your surfboard if you're a surfer, just that feeling of life. He gave us this life to enjoy. He gave us apples to eat. Third bad mistake. He gave us this life to enjoy. So God says, hey, I want it first, but I want you to enjoy rest. Make the rest for you. Eat it. Enjoy it. Giving to God doesn't have to be a lame thing. It doesn't have to be a struggle. That's why the New Testament says God loves a cheerful giver. Because God gives me the rest for myself to enjoy. And I can buy shoes if I want to buy shoes, I can spend it on Chipotle if I wanted to spend it on Chipotle. I can pay bills. I have to pay bills. That's not an option. He gives it to us to enjoy. This is the beauty of being a God follower. It's not a guilt trip. It's where you can enjoy life. He says, make me the first, and then you enjoy the rest. Please don't let me take another bite of apple. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Verse 14. Here we go. Wrapping up. Making our way. For this is what the Lord God destroyed. The jar of flour will not be used up. The jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. This is the promise for those who give first in their finances. The jar will not be used up. Our accounts will not run dry. When we are faithful to God in our finances, it puts us in the path of this miraculous provision. See, God was going to take care of Elijah no matter what. He couldn't find someone the first time, so he had birds bringing him food. God was going to make sure that his work on the earth was going to be done through Elijah. God would take care of Elijah. In the New Testament, we don't live by prophets. Jesus put on this earth the church, not Epic, but the church universal all over the place in every nation around the world. He put the church in charge of being this group of people that does the work of God on the earth. The church in the New Testament is the vehicle that God has chosen to accomplish his work on the earth. And so God is going to take care of the church. Regardless of me, regardless of you, regardless if we give or we choose not to give, God will take care of the church because his work on the earth is most important, and he will make sure that it gets done. Now, if this is the place where you would bump in your neighbor and you're saying, look, I told you this place is only after your money. You're calling, you're trying to figure all this out, and you're thinking, I knew this would happen. This place is going to ask me for my money. And it's a conflict of interest. Me up here telling you that God will bless you if you give it to the church that employs me. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you permission. If you think that's the big thing that's hanging you up and holding you up, I'll give you permission to give anywhere else. It's not about you giving to Epic. It's not about us filling our coffers and our savings accounts and so that we can do all. It's not about that at all. I don't want money from you. I want blessing for you. I don't want something from you. I want you to be in line with God's path of miraculous provision. And so it's not about giving to me or to this church. You find somewhere else to give it. If you're skeptical of us, that's fine. We got some of the brightest guys in the world running our books. Literally, around the world, these people go and help people set their stuff up. And they keep a track of every penny that's spent. So I have no guilt about asking you for money because I know it's spent wisely. But if you're skeptical of this church and this place and you think that I'm trying to hold God's blessing over your head like a carrot, give somebody else. It doesn't matter to me. I want God's for you. I want his provision for you, not something from you. God was going to take care of Elijah no matter what, and God will take care of his church no matter what, regardless of me or you giving. It will go on around the world accomplishing God's work on the earth. It will survive with or without our money. God will make sure of it. And this is the awesome part of giving, is it gives us an opportunity, just like the ravens and just like the widow, to put us in the path of God's miraculous path of provision, puts us in the path of his miraculous work of provision, that God was going to take care of Elijah. He will take care of the church. And when we are a part of the vehicle that God uses to give to his work on the earth, it puts us in the path of that provision, and we reap the benefits as well. Verse 15, we read it earlier. She went and did as Elijah had told her, so there was food every day for Elijah and the woman and her family. The jar of flour was not used up, the jug of oil didn't run dry, keeping with the word of the Lord that he had spoken to Elijah. I want to read you a story. It was sent in my email actually, it was about a year ago now. When somebody would come to the church for the first time, I would send them an email thanking them for coming and, just telling them I appreciate them being here. Nowadays, I write like a handwritten card. Somebody else sends them an email. But back in the day, I would send these emails, and so I would get these replies coming back to me. And I got this reply one time. It says, "Hey, Chris, I remember speaking with you briefly after the service. Thank you for the email, for reaching out and saying hello. I definitely enjoyed my time there, and the message was great. It was exactly what I needed to hear through these tough times and these trials that I've been going through since accepting Jesus into my life earlier this year. The thing is, I did feel overwhelmed by many things, and I've been feeling anxiety and issues while I know that Jesus is there for me to cast my cares upon. It's not always that easy. LOL. Lots of laughs. Laugh out loud, depending on what age you are." Then he goes on to say, "I do carry a lot of regret and remorse around for the past actions, things I had done over the years, and I've been working through them since I was saved, and my walk with Jesus has been pretty incredible so far. I like that you said that church, God, and spiritual stuff should be enjoyable rather than an obligation. I definitely don't think of it as an obligation, rather as a necessity for my spiritual growth. I've come a long way from where I was earlier this year, and I'd love to share my testimony with you. I believe there's power in my testimony, but it's still tough to tell the story because of the guilt. I have a hard time. If you have time to meet with you, let me know. It's safe to say I'll be attending Epic next week and into the foreseeable future. Please pray for me and my peace of mind, and pray that God continues to work in my life and help guide me down the path that he's blessed for me. God bless." And then he leaves his name. This person had went on to be baptized a few months later, and I've got a chance to watch this individual grow and mature and see so much change in their life. They got baptized a few months after that, and actually has been a vital part of a crucial ministry at the church. They got involved into a small group and actually really, really involved with what happens and some things behind the scenes at the church. And I wanted to share that with you for this reason. You know why Lori and I and many others in the church give to Epic? Is because it's good soil. Because there's lives being changed in this building through the groups and through the things that happen. It's good soil that when we give up an apple, that we know that the seeds that's in it goes and plants many other amazing things. I want to read you another story. Actually, the one we just posted on the church's Facebook just yesterday. It's from Casey. Casey said, "Recently, we came together as a church to grieve with several families who had unexpectedly lost loved ones. It was a stark reminder of how I felt just a few years back when I, too, lost 3 people who were incredibly important to me. The thing is, at the time, I didn't have a connection with the home church. It was something I had always wanted but I never found, and I was alone. But all that has changed for me now. I can't put into words how blessed I am to have found Epic, a true group of friends that I belong to. Here I'm accepted just the way that I am. Attending the Grow Workshop really helped to view myself through God's eyes and the way that he created me. Now I know who I am, and I'm excited to be actively discovering what the Lord wants to do with my life. I'm so happy that Jesus drew me back to himself and steered me toward a family that loves and supports me unconditionally the way that people at Epic do. I hope everybody can find a family like this so they can experience the same type of care and love. I'm home now." You know why many people give to the church? Because it's good soil. Because in this church, there's hearts being changed. There's peace being brought to anxious minds. There's healing being brought to broken relationships. Guilt and regret that plague people is being lifted from them. People are being brought closer to each other and to God in this building. People that are hurt are finding healing. God's love is being shone through this church and many other churches around the world. But this church, for me, is good soil. And I know when I give, I may have less, but God can do more with it. Then when he asks me for something, I say, well, I don't know, God, because if I give to you, I got less, and I don't want less, I want more. You know, I don't know what's ahead of me. And God says, why don't you let me take care of what's ahead? You just trust me. See, when we give to God, what was just a snack is turned into a miracle of provision. Where it was just a plan and a what if for me, God turns into an orchard to bless thousands. See, if I kept it to myself, there's no telling what I would do with it. I would waste it. It would rot before I got to it. How many has ever lost money spending on something stupid, right? Ordering something from QVC, or maybe in this window. I ain't hating on QVC. There's some good stuff there. Some. It's not a lot. Some. I've had a lot of money rot in my pocket, wasted. When God says, hey, look, I want you to give it to me first, because there's so much more that I can do with it than just you by yourself. And when we collectively together, we give to God's work on the earth, he turns it into an orchard that feeds thousands, that blesses thousands. There are hundreds of hearts come to know him week in and week out. Or one small gift of obedience would have simply just been a snack. God turns into an orchard to bless many. Where one church would just come together, he turns it into a revolution of humility and kindness and justice. Where one follower of Christ could spark a movement of peace and unity and togetherness just by giving up a little of their less. What if I could prove to you that less in the hands of God is actually more? It's actually more of what the world needs. Let me pray for you guys today, and we'll let you go in just a moment. Taking a posture of prayer this morning, if you could, as we wrap up. This morning we talked earlier about God being for you. And it's always tough in these moments. We're talking about giving and something from us, to really understand and to believe that God wants something for you. And this morning, I want you to know and understand and believe that in all that he does, he wants something for you today. In everything he's done, he wants something for you. Maybe today you never thought that God wanted something for you or to bless you, but today I want to give you an opportunity to believe that, because it's life-changing to understand that God wants it for you, a blessing for you. He wants life for you. And we don't give just to get from him, but we put him as Lord of our life to experience amazing life that we couldn't do on our own. So this morning, if you say, Pastor Chris, it's me, I've never really believed that, and it's still a little tough for me, but you know what? I want to open my heart to believe him today, that he loves me, that he wants the best for me, that he wants something for me. Today we're going to pray a prayer together, and everyone in the room is going to pray. We're not going to single anyone out. But if you say, Pastor Chris, that's me, I want to believe Jesus has the best for me. I want to believe he wants something for me. Today I want to begin a relationship with him. On the count of 3, I'm just going to ask you to lift your hand up. I'm not going to make you stand or call you out. But if you say, Pastor Chris, today I want to begin a relationship with God, to experience this life. 3, I want you to know that God loves you. 2, that he has something for you. 1, I just want you to lift your hand up and say, that's me. I want a relationship with him. Thank you for that hand. Awesome. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, man. 5, 6. Thank you. 7. Wow. 8, 9 in the corner. 10. Man, amazing. Here's what we're going to do. Across the room, front to back, side to side. I want us all to pray this together. And there's nothing magical about these words. It's about what our heart looks like when we say them. And so could we pray this together all across the room? Would you say this? Dear Jesus, thank you for being for me. Thank you for loving me and forgiving me because of the cross. I welcome you into my heart. So take me and make me new. Live in me as I live for you. In Jesus' name, amen. As you rise to your feet, can we put our hands together and celebrate with those people who made a commitment this morning? Let me tell you this. Scripture says that you will never be the same ever again. For those 10, 11 people, I believe, over there that raised their hand, God will change your life and do amazing things with you. He'll take you places you never dreamed of. So I'm happy for you. We celebrate with you. It's an awesome, awesome thing. So the question I'll leave you with, are we giving God our best? Are we giving him our first? When we do, when we open up who we are, he puts us in a path of miraculous provision. And I want that for you. I want that for us. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Go Ravens. Here's Kate.
So just a couple of reminders. If today was your first time at Epic, or if you gave your heart to the Lord for the first time, there's a place that we'd like to invite you to outside. It's called First Steps. It's out to the right and at the top of the stairs. I will meet you there. And there's another place called Next Steps that if you have any questions about upcoming activities or if you want an opportunity to serve or just general information, Next Steps is a place. And Cal, who was out here before with me, will be out there. And one more thing, we actually as a church want to come together more time to fellowship outside of just being here in service. So once a month we're going to be having times where we get to go after service and break bread and go to lunch together. So today we are going to be going to Mission Barbecue. Who likes Mission Barbecue? Yeah. So we'll be meeting over there directly after service. Whoever wants to come, it's a great time to come out, meet new people, and get to know your family a little bit better. So we just want to thank you for coming. We love you, and have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday.
Mighty is